Alright, here we are in Robocraft. Now, I've seen some people asking on the forums if anybody else had ever thought of building their bots at an angle, a ramp robot, as it might be called. And I didn't respond to the thread, but it so happens that I have 3 rail snipers in my garage right now that all have a wedge shape to them. Here's one at tier 3. Here's one at tier 5. And here's yet another at tier 10. So I thought I'd take a look at each of them in one video each. I'm especially okay with sharing this design because of the proliferation of flyers since the patch a little while ago that totally nerfed the railguns, nearly out of existence. It's been really interesting watching this play out over time. At first, everybody just abandoned the railguns completely because they couldn't figure out how to use them. And you started seeing more and more flyers than you'd ever seen before. It's just a real golden age. And then over the last couple of weeks, you've seen more and more rails pop up in order to counter it. People have been figuring out how to shoot the rails, despite the horrendous nerf, just to counter all the planes. I mean, I've seen it where, on my team at least, there's 6 planes on the team. Like, it's like 80% planes. So anyway, if you're not familiar with the railguns the way they are now, just a quick primer on that. You're just like any gun. When you move, the reticle grows. When you stop, it shrinks. What they changed about the railgun now is after each shot, it takes a long time to come back down. You see the gun slowly contracting. If you fire while that's still contracting, that shot will almost certainly not go in the middle of the reticle. Watch. I mean, it's nowhere near it. Whereas with the railguns, you used to be able to just machine gun them and run them all in a row and really devastate people. Even if you get right up against another robot, it's really not to your benefit to fire 2 shots right in a row. Okay, so the other thing they changed, I don't even need a charged up shot to show you here, is that if you are tracking an enemy across the tundra, like this, he's moving pretty slow. If you're tracking an enemy across the tundra, you can see the reticle growing as I go. So if it's a plane and they're moving pretty fastly, that's not going to work. What you have to do is lead your shots in front of them. Rob Base has a really good video on the same thing, if you're curious. So you get in front of them, anticipate where they're going to be, similar to plasma, except you wait to shoot until they're in front of it. Line up another shot, wait for the reticle to shrink back down, just like that. And you got to be able to chain these together like this because, and you can see, these guys have tier 1 armor, and these tier 4 rail cannons aren't really doing much work to them. This thing is min-maxed to be really at the very top of tier 3, and it's still not a particularly offensive build. So anyway, about the robot, it's got that wedge thing to it. When you're building a wedge bot, what I'd recommend is you put the wheels only 1 block height difference and just use 2 sets of wheels. If you try to use multiple sets of wheels, go ahead and experiment if you're like me. You'll end up needing to build on a pure 45-degree angle, and it'll make the steering much more difficult. So the idea with this one, I've got all these thrusters on here, and then with any wedge bot, the thrusters are pointing up away from the craft, which forces the nose down into the ground, giving it downforce. So this thing is unusually more nimble than it ought to be for the amount of thrust it has. Flippery. You can still flip it over. The handling's a little goofy. I put 2 steering wheels on the rear and 2 non-steering wheels on the front to kind of mellow it out. It's a little frustrating when the rear wheels get blown off because then you have no steering at all, because I don't have any steering thrusters on it. It's pretty fast. It will climb a hill. That is not what it's designed to do. So something like this, I wouldn't expect it to climb. It might under weird circumstances, but like, it's okay at getting up and around stuff. Mostly the thruster is just for speed. With your sniper, you're gonna want to take a couple shots. You know, people really see those shots from across the way. They're very noticeable. Just because you have 6 shots doesn't mean you need to use them all, and then you get on your way. So anyway, that's my little tier 3 sniper. Feel free to copy it as much as you want. You know, I don't think it's the best design. It's not even the best of my 3 rail snipers. But it works good. And if you're out there and you're in a match with 3 or 4 gun chairs or plasma kites, they're in tier 3. This is a good method for getting them down out of the air.